It is July the 11th, 2021. I'm Andy, and this is the Minorcan Mullet Report from the Golden Ray Rec Site in the St.simons Sound. First of all, let me say it's good to be back out on the site, taking a look at the VB 10,000 and what is left of the Golden Ray. 3 sections remaining. We are past the halfway mark, since Section 3 was loaded up onto that dry dock section and taken into the Port of Brunswick. It's really starting to become a stubby ship out in the Sound. Well, we got out today and wanted to take a look, kind of see what was going on. First thing we noticed was the cutting blocks were lowered. They were down, and then we could see the maintenance barge, the 1710, that's the barge that we've become familiar with after a cut but the barge was turned long ways between the VB 10,000, and typically we don't see it that way. We'll see it either or the sides of the VB while it's in there servicing the blocks. And it was back there, so we had to get around there and take a look. While we're there, a couple shots, just looking at things. The straps we see still in good shape, hanging there. The environmental barrier was in place. Of course, we still see those breaks in the environmental barrier, and they have to be in there for the crews to access the wreck site to get inside of it. So, in a sense, the environmental barrier is kind of always open. It has cracks and bits and places on it, but for the most part, the south gate and the north gate were both closed up, and we started kind of creeping by and just looking and trying to observe and see things, what we could see, and there was a lot of activity out on the site, out on the VB. We could see personnel on both sides of the superstructure in the area of those block systems that are up on the top side, and we've got some shots of those guys in there on both sides, and either they got an inspection going on or something's going on there. So we kept going around. About this time, we got our update that kind of broke through that they were respooling cable onto the VB 10,000. We've talked about this many times. Here we got some shots of the guys up here, but the cable, there's so many different sizes and kinds and ratings on cable, right-hand lay, left-hand lay. If you're a crane operator or familiar with the craning business, you certainly understand what I'm talking about. You can't just go and buy cable to go on a craning system. It's pretty specific to what your needs are, depending on what you're doing. Whether it's the steel that you're using is improved plow, mild plow, regular plow. A lot of different variables go into that, and it seems that there may be a problem with some of the cable, and we'll get into that from what we've heard. But we'll get into that in just a second, but we're going to continue around. Again, it's been a week since we've been out at the site and looking at it, and we certainly know things have changed. But we did get a couple shots here. We're kind of seeing more and more daylight through the ship as the ship gets smaller and smaller. It's getting easier and easier to see through it with both ends of it cut. But one of the big things we did see today in the area after the fire, where the crews had to go in and re-weld and add steel to those lifting lugs that are on the top side of the ship now, because they were damaged in that May 14th fire. And if you're just joining the site, I know we got some new guys that are just joining. Go to May 14th and take a look at that video and look at the fire that the ship suffered on that Friday afternoon. If you haven't done it, it's quite quite impressive. But all the equipment that was on top of the ship that was there before we left has been removed. Everything that we saw up there is gone. The work boxes, the storage containers, the welding machines, all of that equipment that was up on top of the ship is gone. And from what we understand, the operations are completed for that renewing of the steel that took place after the fire damage. So hopefully all this system is back where it needs to be and is ready to, the tremendous amount of weight that these pieces have to take. They have to take the whole weight of these sections right there, and it's got to be strong. And after the fire, it did weaken it some, so they have replaced, re-welded, done what they had to do. There may be another couple of inspections that have to take place by the engineers before everybody signs off on it, but from what we understand, she's ready and good to go pending those inspections. But back around on the this is on the east side of the ship, and looking back at the VB, you can see that there was a good bit of activity going on underneath the left-hand part of the superstructure of the VB. And as we kind of got around and took a little closer look, we could see that respooling process taking place. And from what we understand on the respooling process is they wanted to change the cable. They pulled it off, and this is what we've heard. We're still waiting on confirmation on this. They pulled the cable off, waiting for the new cable to get in. They started to get the cable and realized that it was not the proper cable. The wrong type cable was delivered. So they're in the process of respooling with some of the older cable back on the ship so they can get back to cutting. And from what we understand, that's going to be section 6. So they'll go back towards the old stern end of this piece of wreck and start cutting section 6 as soon as they can get this problem worked out here with the spooling. And we see them pulling this cable, and we understand it's about 5,000 feet of cable that goes onto this system. And we could see the drum turning from our position today. And you can see all the equipment that is on that 1710 barge that's necessary for this operation to take place to get this cable. Remember, it's got to be properly tensioned, and all the guidance and everything. It has to feed on there and spool across the drum properly, so that when they're cutting on the ship, it's a smooth operation. And here we kind of circled that particular drum that we saw turning that was accepting that cable. So this is that drum that does the major part of the cutting right there. Again, this is on the south end of the ship, looking back towards the north, looking at that work barge. And we did see there was a little bit of movement around the Robert T tug. You're going to see the Robert T come up and take its position on one of the mooring anchors just off the south end. And we don't know if he was moving into position to maybe go into the barrier or was just repositioning because the tide was changing. We were right at the end of the tide change here. But things are they look like they're getting some things done. If the story we're hearing about the cable is true, we would expect that when new cable arrives, we will probably see a changeover at that time back to new cable. Something spurred them to change this cable. They've had to put back some cable that was used. And this is what we've heard again. Still waiting on confirmation on that. But hopefully they will get back in the cutting position over section 6 soon, and maybe they'll get through that one without too much difficulty. We certainly hope so. They're due some good luck. We haven't seen any good luck in a while. It would be nice to see a week-long cut to completion. It's just been a while since that's happened. Looking here, we see the 2008 barge. Looks like it is well stocked. Those freshwater containers, we can see those there lined up, ready to go to the VB. We've seen that happen where they have to move all the water. Everything's got to be brought over out to the site. It's good to be back. Hey, we're going to ask, if you're watching the channel, hit that subscribe button. Send us some comments. And most of all, we want you guys to stay safe.